Have you just been walking around with this invisible weight on your shoulders and you probably don't even know it has a name? It sounds like responsibility. It feels like self improvement, but it's actually the thing that's been making your days feel heavy. Your goals feel far away and your life feel like an endless to do list that you didn't write. Today, we're naming it, calling it out, and getting free from it. Welcome to Create Your Best Empty Nest. This is episode 25. Okay, here's an honest check in. Have you kind of felt off lately? Kind of blah? Like everything on your list feels heavy before you even start? That was me this week. I just was sitting down to figure out what to record for the podcast this week, and I just wasn't feeling it. And everything this week felt like something I had to do, felt something I should do. The podcast, the emails, the social media, the reels, all of it, and even going to play pickleball. I love playing pickleball. It just felt like something I should do. And that's when I knew what my podcast this week was going to be about. And then I realized that's exactly it. I had been shooting all over my life. And this is this episode because I know that you're probably feeling it too. So here's what we're going to cover today about how to go should free and how it will really free you. Here's what we're going to talk about today. Why you keep saying I should and where it actually comes from. What should is really doing to you and it's not what you think. The tiny word swap that changes everything and how going should free is actually the first step in creating your next chapter. By the end of this episode, you're going to have a tool that you can use today. All right, you ready? Let's go. Okay, number one, why you keep saying I should and how you can stop. So the first thing is when you say I should, followed by the sentence, it's usually not even your thought. It comes from somewhere. And it's been living in your head so long that it feels like it's yours. It might come from what you watched growing up, how your mom handled things, what women in your family did, or the community you grew up in, or what you've seen other women do that you admire, and you quickly decided that's what you should do too. I know I'm really guilty of that one. And what you keep repeating over and over to yourself until it just becomes background noise. It just seems like it's the real story, right? The story you've been telling yourself feels like the facts, it's the reality. And that's important to know that it's not facts, it's just the story you've been telling yourself of what you should do. What a good wife or a good mom or a good friend or a good daughter, that picture in your head of what you should do. And that gap between the picture that you've created, the story you've created, and where you actually are right now, that does not feel good. That is should when it disguises itself. It can show up like I need to, or I have to, or I ought to, all disguised as shoulds. And it's the same trap, just a different outfit. So the first step to going should free is just noticing it. You can't put down something you don't know you're actually carrying. Okay? So just notice it. Notice that you've made it true in your mind of how you should act. And it's just a story you've created and you can put it down. Okay? So here's your belief shift. This is just how things are. How a good mom, a good wife, a good community member, whatever, should act. 2, wait. Whose rules are these actually? And if they're not yours, you can put them down. Okay? So here's your practical take-home tip. For the first few days, just notice it. When you say or think, I should do this. I should not do that. Either way, goes both ways. Don't judge it, just catch it. That awareness alone is the beginning of getting free from it. Okay? All right, point number 2. This is the small word that's going to open up your creativity, your desires, all this stuff, okay? Should versus could, and it's everything. So should and could, I mean, it's just one letter difference. They sound almost identical, right? But they feel completely different in your body. And the difference between them is everything. Okay, what should actually does is it pretends to be useful. It pretends to make you feel like you're being productive, you're doing it well. It feels like you're being responsible, like you're being the person that you know you're supposed to be. Okay. But it's really a passive excuse saying, I should exercise. Has anyone said that before? I should exercise. But it doesn't get you moving. It doesn't get you exercising, right? It just makes you feel like you're working on the problem without actually doing it. So I should exercise. I should read that book. I should do my ministering. I should reach out to this person. It makes you feel like you're doing it, but it doesn't actually help you work on the problem, right? So research actually backs this up. Psychologists have found that the should language triggers shame, and shame shuts us down. It doesn't move us forward. Think about the exercise example, right? I should exercise more. I should wake up early in the morning. I should. Do any of those thoughts actually propel you to move forward? I doubt it. Okay, so buried inside every should is a quiet verdict. You already know what you're supposed to do. You're not doing it. So what does that say about you? It says you're wrong for not doing it. It's a character judgment, not just a task reminder. And it's heavy and it piles up. The more should you carry, the more exhausted you feel before you even begin. That's why I've been feeling so heavy and so like, oh, blah, this last week. I've been piling up the shoulds. And you may have been doing this too. Okay, I had a friend of mine, and both of her parents had passed away, and she watched how her extended family started drifting apart. And she kept saying, I should be the one to gather the family. I've seen other women gather their extended family close. I should be the one. And she felt it. She should be the one to keep everyone connected. But she also had her own kids and her own grandkids and a full life pulling at her. And it felt like this weight she had chosen. So when I said, what if you change that one word from should to I could be the one to get the family together? And when she shifted that from I should be planning these family get-togethers to I could, if I want to, if I have the desire, if I have the time, I could. It's a possibility. Everything changed. It went from obligation to an option. And if she chooses to, it'll come from love, not duty. Okay? So what just changing that one word from should to could actually does? It's a total 180 shift. And it seems almost too small to matter. And that's why a lot of people miss it. Should says you're already failing. You're not doing it right. Could says there's a possibility you could do that if you choose to. Okay. Shoulds comes from the outside in, what you've seen other women do, what you've seen a good mom do, a good community member do, a good church member do. Comes from the inside out, what you want to do, what is motivating you from the inside out. Should comes from dread. Could creates energy and opens a door, propels you forward as a possibility. No guilt, no shame, no quiet verdict, just a real choice. So my son is getting married, and I've just had a lot on my plate with my coaching business, with becoming a grandma, with my daughter leaving on a mission for our church. A lot of things have been piling up, and I realized I should plan a bridal shower for my soon-to-be daughter-in-law. And party planning really kind of isn't my thing. The cute themes and the colors and all that. I really admire women who can do that, but it's not really my thing. And I felt immediately like I should plan this shower. I'm the mom. That's what I should do. But it's what I did instead is I called my other daughter-in-law. She's absolutely loves this stuff. She's super talented at it. And she lit up. She was so excited, and she already was thinking about themes. She was already thinking about doing a shower, just hadn't sent the text because she's busy with her baby. And she's running with it. And I could already tell it's so much better than anything I would have forced myself to do. I should have done. And that's what could does. It opens up the doors to the right answer instead of the obligated one. The path goes from I could throw a shower, or I could figure out someone who would be more excited or more, that's the more their skill set, to I want to I will. You just do it naturally. Okay. So when people feel like the actions are their own choice, they're not controlled by guilt or because of what they should do, their follow through goes way up. You're not more likely to do something because you feel bad about it by not doing it, by if you feel like you should. Okay. So the belief shift on this one is the should is keeping me accountable to could is really actually moving me forward. So here's your practical take home tip. Just take one thing on your should list, on the things you should do. You should exercise. You should call this person. You should have this difficult conversation. You should, all the things, okay? And swap out the word, I could do that. Notice if there's a little bit of weight that's lifted, that feels lighter. Right this somewhere, you'll see it. Should is a trap. Could is a door. All right, next point. Should makes growth feel heavy instead of hopeful. This is the one I personally felt this week. Everything just felt so heavy. And I had been shoulding all over my business. The podcast felt like a should. The emails felt like a should. The reels felt like a should. And the funny part about this is I have a series going right now of things I stopped caring about as an empty nester. And I realized I was creating it because I felt like I should. Someone told me I should. And so that was a little ironic. And maybe I stopped caring about as an empty nester this week. Could be I stopped shoulding on myself. Is that the next one in that series? Just saying. When everything is a should, nothing has joy in it. Growth stops feeling like something you're building and starts feeling like something you're already behind on. You can I should do this, I should do that. And you could white knuckle it. You could push through for a while. But you're not going to show up with creativity or bring your best ideas or feel alive in what you're doing, not from that should energy. Should keeps you stuck in that perfectionism. You have a picture in your head of how it's supposed to look, the perfect version. And if you can't hit that bar, you just don't start, or you get started and you just get stuck. And there's no growth in this season, right? So when you're actually trying to create your next chapter, that requires hope and curiosity and a little excitement about what's possible. And none of that lives in should. So here you go. Here's your belief shift. I should be farther along in creating my next chapter or in whatever you put there, right? I should be farther along. 2, I'm building something and I get to enjoy the process. Okay, so here's your practical take-home tip. What's one thing in your life right now that used to feel exciting and now feels heavy? Is should energy all over it? And what would it feel like if you came at it as a could instead? Okay, next point. So should keeps you living for someone else's life. Here's a trap that nobody talks about. When you're running on a pile of shoulds, you didn't consciously choose. You're not living your life. You're living someone else's version of it. Okay. So that's super important. Like we talked about in the first point, you've got that somewhere. Okay. So where do they come from? They're things other people think you should do, things that you've watched other women do and quietly decided that you should do those too. Or the role of a good wife, good mom, good woman in this season, according to the script that was handed to you, not written by you. Okay. That's why I want women to intentionally create their next chapter, not what people told you it should look like. This is why so many women in the empty nest do feel lost, not just because their kids left, but because they've been living by shoulds for so long, they don't know what they actually want anymore. Should is so loud. It drowns out your own desires completely. And desire is your compass. It's how you find your next chapter. It's your compass for your best life. I talked about this in episode 22. Desire isn't selfish. It's sacred direction. Go back and listen if you haven't, because it ties directly into this. When should is running your life, you can't hear your own desires anymore. Okay, going back to my son's bridal shower, I had this picture in my head of what a good future mother-in-law should do. She should plan a beautiful shower, make it special, put it all together. But I could have done it and I could have white knuckled it, but it wasn't coming from me wanting to. It was coming from a should. When I let go of what I should do and asked actually what made sense, what I could do, the right answer naturally showed up. That's what happens when you let go of should. That's when I contacted my daughter-in-law, who loves planning things like this. When you go should free, you start to hear yourself again. And that's where the next chapter actually starts. When my daughter-in-law said, hey, I want to run with this. Are you okay with that? I was so excited. Yay. Let me help with the logistics. Let me help send the invites. Let me help. But she took on the creativity, the overall picture of it, and it was a beautiful thing. So here you go. Here's your belief shift. I should do what's expected of me to I get to decide what this season actually looks like for me, what I could do. So here's your practical take-home tip. Pick one should in your life this week and ask, is this actually mine? Did I choose this or absorb this from people or situations around me? You don't have to do anything with the answer yet. Just get honest about where it comes from, okay? Now, the last one is shoulds actually disconnect us from the people that we love, how people should act. We don't just do this to ourselves, we do this to the people around us. And when you think someone should be doing something your way and they're not, it doesn't change them. I'm sure we've all tried that. We know that doesn't work, even if we keep trying it. But it changes how you feel about them and not in a good way, right? So think about how this may have showed up in your life. Your kids are not responding to the text that you think they should. I'll send out an invite to a party or Father's Day weekend or whatever, and the kids don't text back, or they don't text back when I think they should, and it gets me frustrated, or I start to wonder what's going on. Or your husband is handling something completely different than you would, a different way, right? Or a friend who keeps making choices that you don't understand, that she should be doing a different way. When you're in she should or he should mode, you're not curious, you're not connected to them, you're just quietly judging. And they feel it, even when you think you're hiding it. So my mom passed away 3 years after my dad did. And so at that point, we had to go through the family home. And I wanted to do it quickly, efficiently, just get in there, get it done, and move on. And my brother, who's a trustee, he's wanted to go through every single item, make sure we didn't miss anything, make sure there wasn't anything of sentimental value to us. And he wanted all 6 of our siblings to sign off on every single thing. So we made sure that we didn't donate or throw away something that was important to one of us. It was very meticulous. It was very detailed, and the complete opposite way that I thought it should be done. And I kept thinking, this should go faster. He should be doing it differently. This should not take this long. And what did it accomplish? Didn't change anything. Didn't change the process. Nothing. The process didn't change. The timeline didn't change. I was just frustrated and slowly pulling away from my brother during one of the hardest seasons of our family's life. The should didn't move anything forward. It just cost me closeness with someone I love. So think about that. Where are you thinking that people in your life should be doing something different? And how is that making you feel? And I can guarantee it's not making you feel creativity on or connected or any of those feelings that you're wanting. When you drop the should and just get curious instead, I wonder what makes sense to him about doing it this way. That's where connection lives. I know a lot of women talk about their adult children, thinking about it in this regard of, I wonder why they're doing it like that, or I wonder why this makes sense to them, or all those things and not how they should be acting, right? We don't know because we're trying to get to connection and love with those that we love, and should kicks us in the opposite direction. Okay, so here's your belief shift. They should do it my way. 2, I wonder what's going on for them. Here's practical take-home tip. Pick one person you've been should on this week. Just for today, replace the should with a genuine question. What's going on for them? See what shifts. All right, most of your shoulds come from somewhere else. You absorb them, you watch them, you didn't choose them. and you subconsciously took them on. Should feels like it should be motivation, but it's really just dread and guilt and a quiet verdict that you're already failing. So swap that one word, should, for could. It's tiny and it changes everything. Should makes growth feel heavy. Could is where hope and creativity live. Living by someone else's should means you're living someone else's life. Shoulding the people around you doesn't change them. It just costs you that connection and that love. So here's your challenge this week. Catch every should out loud and in your head. In your text, just notice it. Then ask, could I? Do I want to? That's where the real answer lives. If you've been walking around under a pile of should that are squeezing the joy out of your days, let's talk. I do a free next chapter jumpstart call, and that's exactly what we work on. Is figuring out what's actually yours to carry, what you actually want, and how to start building from there. Go to MarianneIverson.com/call and grab a spot. It's a real conversation, no pressure, just you and me figuring out your next chapter together. You didn't come this far by living by someone else's rules. This is your season, and you get to feel like it. Let's talk soon. Talk to you next week.
If this felt familiar, you're not alone. I created a short quiz, Who Am I, after the kids leave. It helps you name what actually is going on for you in this season and what you might need next. You'll find the link in the description. And if you want more conversations like this, you could subscribe. I'm here every week.